Welcome to the Prophecy Club. I've got Zen Garcia on the phone. He's a webmaster, video producer, radio host, author of 7 books, in the ministry for 10 years. And we're going to continue talking about Lucifer, father of Cain. Now, you got to go back and listen to those other 3 broadcasts. We can't go back and try to explain that right now, but essentially, he's got some really good points and really good reasons and good research to say that this Lucifer may in fact actually have been the father of Cain. He explains how the King James and how it arrives and all that, but let me just jump into my question today. There are a lot of people that believe that there are people being abducted by these UFOs. I've never seen a UFO. I've heard all the stuff that everybody else has seen. We've had several people that are really knowledgeable come in and speak at the Prophecy Club. I think we've got like 5 different DVDs, people that have seen them, and that is their life, is to investigate them. And essentially, here's the whole story. It appears that these sons of God are coming down in these anti-gravity flying devices. 300 million people, I don't know, some astronomical number out there that says that people have been abducted. All right, when they are abducted, first of all, it's not Jesus, because he wouldn't do anything like that without getting their permission. They're abducted without permission, and in almost every case, they are examined sexually. Sperm removed from the men, ovum removed from the women, and they are doing genetic experiments. Other cases where the woman is impregnated, later the baby is taken from her. There's been cases where the ladies have actually been shown their babies that are half man, half alien. One lady even had one of the aliens, which, by the way, did not look gray and have long fingers and big black almond-shaped eyes. This was a man, she said, is about 6'5", blonde hair, blue eyes, the most beautiful man she'd ever seen. He said that they're working together with the governments of the world to form a half-man, half-alien. They're working together to create a world government. And of course, when she said that, my eyebrows went up for sure. Now, I believe that this may be tying in, so can you explain how this ties in with the whole UFO thing? And one more thing, before I get you into that, my suspicion is what they're really doing is trying to come up with the Antichrist, a half-man, half-alien. Because Lucifer doesn't come up with any new idea. He takes what God does, and he does it in reverse. Genetically, Jesus was half man, half God. In other words, half man from Mary, half God from the Holy Spirit. So it makes very good sense to me that the Antichrist will be half man and half devil, or half man and half Lucifer. And that's kind of what you're introducing here. So now your comments on all of that.
Yes, they are trying to create a fit extension and for the other fallen angels to also work through. But you're right, they are trying to create the perfect being for the introduction of what will be the Antichrist, and that he would be this particular kind of being. And so they're working with the DNA and genetic experimentations on people. We were talking about the differences in the last show at the very end of these particular blood royal elites and regular normal sons of Adam, the seed of the woman. And there's a trait, and that has to do with their having more psychic ability. Some say that they have this Rh negative factor. They're considered to be, these blue blood races, but that the reason the blood royal elites intermarry, even to the point where cousin to cousin, and that they could have schizoid nature brought into their particular, because of the way that they are mating and crossing over and having direct blood relations with first cousins and of that nature. But the reason that they do it is to keep the blood pure and to keep these psychical traits heightened, so that those that are sitting on the thrones of the world today, they are involved in black magic and involved in trying to manipulate and conjure and to call up these demonic forces, and they're having these certain traits within their blood and their DNA. It gives them those abilities and heightens those abilities. And it's my opinion that they are working with the fallen angels, and that the whole abduction phenomena is similar to what Genesis 6 states with the sons of God mating with the daughters of man, that it's just a continuation of that whole thing. They're creating these hybrid races and working through them to create fit extensions for not only the Antichrist, which will be Lucifer, Satan, returned again, but also for other fallen angels and high demonic princes, powers, the Ephesians 6 powers, principalities, these rulers of darkness, wickedness in high places, because they are also coming and are being released upon this particular plane, and they're looking for bodies in order to work in this physical plane. And that's why the governments of the world have been manipulated. The elites are who control the governments and control the money and print the money and loan it to governments at interest, and these secret societies like the Council on Foreign Relations, those are secret societies, the Bilderberg groups, the Masonic groups, the Freemasons, all those, they are all working in tangent to bring about this world government, but they also have an agenda to, through the black ops, through these covert programs, to manipulate, to create, to crossbreed. And this is nothing new. This kind of thing took place before the flood. The Book of Giants, which was part of the Dead Sea Scrolls that was found, spoke about the miscegenation of both plants and animals and how everything became corrupted. And we see that also. Christ spoke about this in Matthew 24, Mark 13, Luke 21, in that as in the days of Noah, it shall be in the second coming of the Son of Man. And we are seeing that same thing happen to our world today with the genetically modified foods, where plant DNA is being crossed with, fish DNA and spider DNA, and all these weird hybrid creatures are being formed and manifested. And it's corrupting the natural order and the natural cycles, the natural harmony of the world. And this kind of thing has also been spoken about as happening in some of these deep underground bases, where we have some eyewitness account, like the eyewitness account of Thomas Costello, where he speaks about some of these hybrid beings that are created in what is referred to as Nightmare Hall, the 7th level of the Dulce deep underground base. And we have the accounts of individuals like Phil Schneider, which actually speaks about a war taking place between the Delta forces and some of these fallen angel entities and the deeper aspects of some of these deep underground bases. And he also said that they were building upon already existing structure, and that the deep underground bases that the governments have built were built upon structures that were already found. We've also had the rumors of these magnetic trains that link up all these deep underground bases and that crisscross the entirety of the interior of the world. There's also the speculation that the Earth is hollow and that there are entire species that we don't know about, even like with what the Hindus speak about as the Nagas, which we have in the ancient mysteries, the worship of the feathered serpents, which were these dragon-like entities, which are nothing more than the seraphim angels. And so all of this mythology that speaks about these feathered serpents, which are the Nakash, the devil, Satan, Lucifer, he's one of these, the Nakash, and how they were the ones that brought civilization and culture to the various pagan cultures worldwide. And that's why they worship the feathered serpent, and also a pantheon of fallen angel, angelic beings. And so all these things are tied together. When I speak about the Nephilim, I'm actually referring to the fallen angels and not the giants. I equate the Nephilim with being the fallen angels, whereas most people say that the Nephilim are the giants that were born from the fallen angels.
Well,
Anyway.
kind of aren't they connected? I mean, isn't that where the giants came from? Is the fallen angels mating with women? Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
That is exactly where the giants came from. They were also hybrid beings. And there's a passage in the Kebra Nagas where it cites them as having mated with the daughters of Cain. And that's why they were able to create these gigantic hybrid beings, because the daughters of Cain were also hybrid from the line of Cain. That's where all these things tied together, again, with what happened in the garden and with there being a presence of this hybrid bloodline here upon the planet, and that they are even taught that they are different from the sons of Adam. And these secret societies, the Masonic groups, they know that they are of the father, the devil. They know that they are of the line of Cain, and they do not count that their father was Adam. And it's only we, as the sons of Adam, as the seed of the woman, that are left in the dark, because we don't know who our enemy is. We believe that everybody is of the same blood and that we're all, we all worship the same God, when in truth there are people here that know who they are and that they are working from behind the scenes to control everything and to lead us to the great plan, as they call it, the great work, which is the New World Order. And that the New World Order is nothing new. It goes back to even the time of Atlantis, even to the fallen angels being cast out of the heavens. And so all these things are the plans of Satan and Lucifer as being the eye at the top of the Illuminati pyramid, the all-seeing eye, the eye of Ra. That is a representation of the Ephesians 6, the powers, the principalities, these rulers, the wickedness in high places, that it represents the feathered serpent, the Nakash, and also the seraphim angels, the dragon-like angels. And that's why we have in the ancient oral traditions of all the indigenous peoples of the world, as well as the accounts of like the Chinese records of their kings being related to the dragons, that even Cain, that he is related to the dragon, the ancient serpent, that Revelation 12, that deceiveth the whole world. And it's only we that are in the dark. They know who they are, and they're hiding in the dark, and they're keeping secret their presence upon the planet, so that we do not know that they are warring against us, and that the enmity between the two bloodlines is still raging and still ongoing. That's why they poison us with the vaccines and put poison in the food and the water. They are at every turn of the way warring against us, because they are trying to bring on this New World Order.
Well, brother, I'll tell you what. I think this is all very interesting. Explains a lot of things. We'll be right back after this message. In 1980, an angel came to Dmitri Duduman and told him that it is written in the Bible and that America will be defeated in 1 hour by Russia. I just made a brand new DVD covering all of the secular, real-life proof that Russia really is preparing to do exactly that. Topics are: Arise, Devour Much Flesh, Russia in Prophecy, Russia Now Rich and Strong, Russia's numerous military expansions, Ukraine, and how it is making the bear angry. Russia is warning the U.S., but we're not listening. Russia is building their military, modernizing submarines, aircraft, missiles, and their army, while the U.S. is downsizing and filled with traitors and weaknesses. 2.5 hours, gift of $30. Go to prophecyclub.com or call 785-266-1112. That's The Russian Bear Rises at prophecyclub.com or 785-266-1112. Order today. Lindsey Williams served as a missionary on the Trans-Alaska Oil Pipeline for 3 years. He became friends with some of the elite that ruled the world. They tell Lindsey, he tells you, the plans of the elite. We're offering 3 of his best DVDs valued at $106, all for a gift of just $38 or more. That's basically order 1, get 2 free. They are the elite plans for the crash. Lindsey gives you the signs to look for before the collapse of the banks and crash of the dollar. Plus, 2 more collapses that will affect you more than the collapse of the dollar. In Currency Revaluation, he explains the greatest event in the last 1,000 years is about how they're going to do away with the Federal Reserve note, bringing in a gold-backed Treasury Reserve note. And in Health Tips of the Elite, he says there is no reason that many people have to suffer from many of the diseases they do simply because they do not know what the elite know that is discussed in this DVD. All 3 DVDs, The Elite Plans for the Crash, Currency Revaluation, and Health Tips, valued at $106, available for a gift of just $38 plus shipping. It's the July gift offer. $38 plus shipping at prophecyclub.com or 785-266-1112. The July gift offer, prophecyclub.com. Order today. And now, back to the program. Well, brother, I'll tell you what. I think this is all very interesting, explains a lot of things. I know there's evil out there, and sometimes I think everybody has scratched their head and said, well, why would they be trying to kill us? Why would they spray this stuff in the air? Why would they modify our food? Why would they allow them to inject hormones into all of the cattle? Why is it that they're doing all of these things actually trying to kill people? Why are they allowing pharmaceuticals out that kill people? It seems like they're trying to kill people. So what you're saying makes a lot of sense. Say on, brother, say on.
Yes, they are following the dictates of their father at all, even at cost to themselves, because Satan doesn't care about them either, but they are following their plan because they believe that they will be immune to judgment and that they will escape all these things. The whole alternative 1, 2, and 3, the deep underground bases, and the alternative 3 is that with the secret space programs, that they already, according to some of the insider knowledge, that they already have bases on the moon and Mars, and that they believe that they're going to escape all these atrocities, and that all the murder and death that they are, propagating here upon this planet, that they're not going to be here anyways. They're just going to, go off to Mars or the moon or wherever else they think they're going to go, and that they won't have to deal with anything. And this is the lie that the fallen angels have told them. This is the lie that Satan has told them, because he doesn't care about them either. He's just using them for a means, and that means is to wage war and take down as many of the sons of humanity, as many of the sons of Adam as he can, so that even the whole struggle that we see with the world, with people just, fighting, struggling to feed their children and just trying to survive in these crazy times, they have no time, no space for effort to work on the higher things of why we are here and who we are, and coming to understand the Creator and the Son, and the salvation, the grace that is extended through Christ Jesus, and so they are too busy just trying to feed themselves and their children, and the world has been brought to that point, just to keep us distracted, to keep us led astray, and so that is the dilemma that we as a race are dealing with. Most people cannot make a priority of the kingdom, and they don't have the time to come to know Christ.
Okay, let me jump in here. All right, if you've seen the last Star Trek movie, the hero was a fella that was supposed to be a hybrid, and it was half alien, half human, and he was pretty much indestructible, had far greater intelligence, could just outthink them at every corner. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't actually.
Okay, well, you're familiar with Spider-Man. Okay, essentially, he's talking about how his DNA was changed. The whole thing with the Hulk, he was looking for a way to make a super soldier, and this gamma reportedly changed his DNA. It looks to me like many of the messages that they're sending us through the movies is talking about how they're trying to create a half man, half alien to rule the world. So all of this very could possibly be the explanation from the point of the Bible. Yes?
Yes. And we see this reflected in all of the Marvel movies too, where like the Fantastic Four,
right.
The Avengers, even with Captain America, and how his structure and his DNA was altered.
Right.
So yeah, we're looking to these hybrid beings to be the saviors of humanity, and it's my opinion that this is also the premise for the Ancient Alien series, in what the Bible refers to as the strong delusion, that they are trying to establish the premise that the fallen angels are the creators of humanity, and that is the missing link for the evolution that so many people believe, that we evolved as monkeys, and how they believe that is beyond me. But anyways, what they're citing now.
Well, what you're saying is making a lot of sense, and I think a lot of people out here are probably stopped in their car and they're pulled over and they're listening to everything you're saying. As a matter of fact, I think a lot of people are going to get your book, because this is going to explain a lot of things, fill in a lot of holes, put a lot of pieces of the puzzle in place for people to understand what's really going on. And it's all based upon the Bible, but it's current events too. So anyway, guys, the name of the book that we've been discussing for now the last 4 days in a row is called Lucifer, Father of Cain. It's essentially saying that the influence of the devil started way back in the Garden of Eden, and it's continued, and it's going to continue right up to the time of the Antichrist, that they are the tares. They are a whole nother species living among us. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And that's what we don't understand, and that's what they are trying to keep hidden, and have been trying to keep hidden for so very long. But it's my opinion that the Father wants us to know, in order for us to understand the war and the battle that we are currently in.
Take a minute and tell us about your book.
The Lucifer, Father of Cain, ties all of these things together, and I build upon the foundation of the King James Version of the Bible, the Old and the New Testament, and I take all those things, beginning with the parable of Genesis chapter 3, what happened in the garden with the so-called eating of the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and how this fruit was symbolic and metaphorical, and that it's actually speaking about the beguilement and the impregnation of Eve with Cain, and the beginning of what is the bloodline, the lineage of the seed of the serpent, and that these people are actually a different race of being. Even in the first book of Adam and Eve, if you read all of those texts, they talk about and implore all of the patriarchs from Adam to Noah. They are imploring their children to never intermarry with the seed of Cain, and that even the battle between Ishmael and Isaac, and Jacob and Esau, and all these things are reflected. Even when Joshua goes into the land of Canaan and has to war against the sons of Anak, all this is reflected in this enmity that begins in the garden with Cain and Abel, and continues with Cain and Seth. And so even the world condition, what we're dealing with now is the New World Order. Even with the harvest, the second coming of the Son of Man, when Christ returns again, then the war will be ended. The enmity will end, because he's going to bind up, send out his angels, just as he did when the giants were led to slaughter each other before the flood, and the flood was brought on to wipe out and to cleanse the earth anew. The same thing, the second coming of the Son of Man will do the same thing, and that then the war will be ended. because we know from Genesis 6 that there were giants in the land before and after the flood, and that the line of Cain found continuance until what would be the harvest at the end of days.
Well, let me throw in something there. You know that the Bible says that the sons of man came down and mated with the daughters of women, and their offspring were mighty men of old, men of renown. And you probably looked this up. I have looked up the old word, look up the word old in the Hebrew, and it means eternal. In other words, these giants were not dying. They didn't have the curse of Cain. They didn't have the curse of Adam on them, and so they were living forever. Another reason why he had to destroy the earth. So I think all of this is really interesting, and I thank you for being on, and I want to have you back on again. And folks, he probably will be back on tomorrow if I can talk him into coming back on again. But let me just say, I think it's important that you get this book. It's called Lucifer, Father of Cain. Lucifer, Father of Cain, and you can get it through the Prophecy Club. I don't think they have it on the website yet, so you'll have to call 785-266-1112. Grab your cell phone, enter the number in right quick, 785-266-1112. It's called Lucifer, Father of Cain, and it'll explain a lot of things that tie into Bible prophecy. 785-266-1112. One more time, 785-266-1112, Lucifer, Father of Cain. If you want to understand all about this hybrid stuff, this DNA tying into the Antichrist, I think this is the book for you to have. Lucifer, Father of Cain.